I woke up on my 18th birthday to my mother standing in my bedroom doorway with her arms crossed and an expression on her face I'd never seen before. Not anger. Not sadness. Just cold, administrative detachment, like she was about to fire an employee. "We need to talk," she said, and those 4 words changed my entire life. She sat me down at the kitchen table where I'd eaten breakfast every morning for 18 years and told me that now that I was legally an adult, she and my stepfather had decided I needed to move out. Not in a few months. Not after I figured out where to go. Immediately. By the end of the week. Because they needed my room for the twins she'd had with him 2 years earlier, and because every dollar counts now that we have a real family to support. A real family. Like I'd just been a placeholder for 18 years until she got the family she actually wanted. I'll never forget the way she said it, so matter of fact, like she was explaining why she'd bought a different brand of cereal. "You're on your own now, Jenny. That's just how life works." 5 years later, she saw me pull up in front of her house in a silver Rolls-Royce. I wasn't there to show off. I was there to pick up legal documents from my uncle who lived next door. But she was in her front yard, and when she saw me step out of that car wearing a designer suit, her jaw literally dropped. And the first words out of her mouth after 5 years of complete silence? "You need to pay for your brother's college." I'm Jenny, and this is the story of how my mother threw me away the moment I stopped being useful to her, and how she came crawling back the second she realized I'd become successful without her. Let me take you back to the beginning so you understand exactly what kind of person does this to their own child. I was raised by a single mother for the first 12 years of my life. My biological father left before I was born, never paid a dime in child support, never even sent a birthday card. It was just me and my mom, and honestly, for most of those years, we were close. She worked hard. I was a good kid. We didn't have much money, but we had each other. My grandparents helped when they could. They'd take me on weekends, help with school clothes, make sure I had what I needed. My uncle, my mom's younger brother, was like a father figure to me. He taught me to drive, helped me with homework, showed up to school events when my mom had to work. When I was 12, my mother started dating someone. Richard. He seemed nice enough at first. Stable job in middle management. Owned his own house. Treated my mom well. After a year of dating, they got married. I was 13, and I was genuinely happy for her. I thought having a stepdad might be good. I thought our lives would get easier with 2 incomes instead of 1. For about a year, things were normal. Richard was polite to me but distant. Not warm, not fatherly, just there. Like a roommate. I didn't mind. I had my mom, my grandparents, my uncle. I didn't need Richard to be anything more than okay to my mom. Then she got pregnant. When my mom sat me down to tell me I was going to have a sibling, she was more excited than I'd ever seen her. "This is going to be amazing, Jenny. You're going to be a big sister." She was glowing, happier than she'd been in years. I was excited too. I was 15, old enough to help out, young enough to still think babies were cute and fun. I had no idea what was actually about to happen. When my mom found out she was having twins, she and Richard acted like they'd won the lottery. Twins. A boy and a girl. The perfect little family. They decorated the nursery with expensive furniture I'd never had. Bought matching outfits. Threw a huge baby shower. I helped with everything. I painted the nursery. I assembled cribs. I organized baby clothes. I did it all cheerfully because I didn't see what was coming. The twins were born this summer before my junior year of high school. Samuel and Sophie. They were cute babies. I actually enjoyed helping with them at first. I'd babysit so my mom could sleep. I'd do bottle feedings. I'd change diapers. I was trying to be a good big sister. But something shifted in my mother almost immediately after their birth. She started looking at me differently. Not with the warmth she'd always had before. With something that almost looked like resentment. Like my presence was an inconvenience instead of part of the family. Little things started changing. She'd buy new clothes for the twins constantly but tell me we couldn't afford new jeans for me even though mine had holes. She'd take the twins to do fun things on weekends and leave me home. When I'd ask to come along, she'd say it's family time like I wasn't family. Richard got worse too. He'd make comments about how much I ate. Growing teenage girls sure can put away food, huh? He'd complain about the water I used for showers. Utility bills are getting expensive. Everyone needs to be more conscious. When I turned 16, I got a part-time job at a grocery store. I started paying for my own clothes, my own school supplies, my own everything. I thought maybe if I was less of a financial burden, my mom would soften again. She didn't. She just seemed relieved she didn't have to think about me as much. I tried to be invisible. I kept my room clean. I was quiet. I helped with the twins without being asked. I worked, went to school, came home, stayed out of the way. I kept thinking it was temporary. That once the twins got a little older and less demanding, my mom would remember she had a daughter who existed before they did. My 17th birthday came and went with a grocery store cake and a card signed just Mom and Richard. No gift. No celebration. Meanwhile, the twins' second birthday 2 months later had a party with a bounce house and 100 guests. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself I just needed to get through one more year, graduate high school, go to college, and then I could build my own life. I had good grades. I was going to get scholarships. I just had to make it through one more year. Then came my 18th birthday. I woke up expecting nothing. Maybe a card. Maybe a small acknowledgement. Instead, I got my mother in my doorway with that look on her face. She sat me down at the kitchen table. Richard was there too, arms crossed, looking at me like I was a problem that needed solving. And my mother just laid it out, cold and simple. Jenny, you're 18 now. You're legally an adult. And Richard and I have been discussing our family's financial situation. With the twins getting bigger, we need more space. They can't share a room forever. We need your room. I stared at her. What? It's time for you to move out. We've decided that you need to find your own place. We'll give you until the end of this week to figure something out. Mom, I'm still in high school. I graduate in 3 months. Where am I supposed to go? You're 18. You're an adult now. Adults don't live with their parents. You have that job at the grocery store. You can find a room to rent somewhere. Or maybe your grandparents will take you in. But you can't stay here anymore. I looked at Richard, hoping he'd say something reasonable. He just nodded. Our children need that space, Jenny. You understand. Every dollar counts now that we have a real family to support. A real family. Those words hit me like a physical blow. I wasn't part of their real family. I was just someone who'd been there before the real family started. You're kicking me out? I said, my voice barely above a whisper. On my birthday? We're not kicking you out, my mother said, like the semantics mattered. We're asking you to take responsibility for yourself now that you're an adult. You're on your own now, Jenny. That's just how life works. We all have to grow up sometime. I wanted to scream that I'd been on my own for 2 years already. That I'd been buying my own food, my own clothes, my own school supplies. That I'd been raising myself while she poured all her attention into the twins. But what was the point? She'd already decided. This wasn't a discussion. It was a notification. What about college? I asked. I was going to apply to state school. I was going to live here and commute to save money. My mother had the audacity to look uncomfortable for the first time. Jenny, we can't afford to help with college. We have the twins to think about. They're going to need college funds eventually. We have to prioritize. I wasn't asking you to pay for it. I was just going to live here. We need the space, Richard repeated. And honestly, the money we save on groceries and utilities without you here will help us build the twins' college fund. This is what's best for our family. Our family. Not their family. Our family. But I clearly wasn't part of that I had 3 days. 3 days to pack up 18 years of life and figure out where to go. I called my grandparents, sobbing, and they took me in immediately. They were furious with my mother, screaming at her over the phone, calling her names I'd never heard my grandmother use before. But it didn't change anything. I moved into my grandparents' spare bedroom with whatever I could fit in my car. My mother didn't help me pack. Didn't offer to rent a truck. Didn't show up to say goodbye. She just texted me good luck. You'll be fine the day I left. Right now you're listening to me describe being thrown out of my home on my 18th birthday by my own mother, and I'm guessing most of you haven't even liked this video yet. You're just here for the drama, consuming my trauma like it's entertainment. You'll watch a woman describe being abandoned by her parent and then scroll away without engaging at all. That's fine. I'm used to people taking from me without giving anything back. But if this story actually means something to you, if you've experienced family rejection or if you just think what my mother did was wrong, prove it. Hit that like button right now. Show me you're not just here to take. Living with my grandparents was a blessing, but it wasn't easy. They were in their 70s, living on a fixed income. I couldn't burden them financially. I increased my hours at the grocery store, working 35 hours a week while finishing my senior year of high school. I barely slept. My grades dropped slightly, but I still graduated. College was complicated. I got some scholarships, but not enough. My uncle co-signed student loans for me, bless him, because my mother refused. She said helping me would be enabling me to avoid growing up. I took out way more debt than I wanted to, but I didn't have a choice. My mother didn't come to my high school graduation. She sent a text, "Congratulations. Proud of you," with a party emoji. That was it. No gift. No phone call. She was half a mile away, but she couldn't be bothered to show up. I didn't invite her to my college graduation 4 years later. By that point, we hadn't spoken in over a year. She'd occasionally send group texts to the family with photos of the twins, and I was included on those, but that was the extent of our relationship. I graduated with a degree in computer science. Got a job at a tech company. Started as a junior developer making $50,000 a year. Lived in a tiny apartment with 2 roommates. Paid off my student loans aggressively. Worked my way up. The tech industry was good to me. I was talented, I worked hard, and I got lucky with a couple of job changes that came with significant raises. By 23, I was making 6 figures. By 25, I was a senior developer making substantially more. I lived below my means, invested wisely, and 5 years after my mother kicked me out, I was doing extraordinarily well. I'd bought a condo. I had a healthy investment portfolio. I drove a nice car, not the Rolls-Royce yet, that came later, but a nice BMW. My grandparents knew how well I was doing. They were proud. My uncle knew because he'd co-signed my loans and I'd paid them off in 3 years instead of 10. The rest of my family? They had no idea because I didn't talk to them and they didn't ask about me. Then my uncle made a mistake. A well-intentioned mistake, but a mistake nonetheless. He was at a family barbecue at my mother's house. He still went to those because he tried to maintain relationships with everyone, including his sister despite what she'd done to me. He was talking to my mother and Richard about something, and my success came up. "Jenny's doing really well," he said. "Just got another promotion. She's basically running her entire department now at 26. Making the kind of money I didn't make until I was 40. I found out about this later from my grandmother, who heard about it from another relative. Apparently, my mother's whole demeanor changed. She started asking questions. How much was I making? Where was I living? Was I married? Did I have kids? My uncle, not understanding the danger, answered honestly. Told her about my condo, my job title, my success. He thought maybe my mother would be proud. Maybe she'd reach out and try to repair the relationship. He was half right. She did reach out. But not to repair anything. 3 days after that barbecue, I got a Facebook message from my mother. We'd been Facebook friends in name only for years, never interacting, but I hadn't bothered to unfriend her. Hi Jenny. It's been too long. I'd love to catch up. Are you free for coffee this week? No apology for abandoning me. No acknowledgement of 5 years of silence. No explanation of why she suddenly cared. Just a cheerful invitation like we were old friends who'd lost touch. I ignored it. She sent another message 2 days later. Then another. Then she started calling. I didn't answer. Finally, she showed up at my workplace. I worked in a secure building, so she couldn't get past the lobby, but the receptionist called up to tell me my mother was there to see me. I went down to the lobby, furious that she'd invaded my professional space. She was sitting there, looking older than I remembered, wearing clothes that looked expensive but somehow didn't fit right. She stood up when she saw me, smiling like we were having a happy reunion. Jenny! You look amazing. This building is incredible. I can't believe you work here. What do you want? I asked, not bothering with pleasantries. Her smile faltered. I just wanted to see you. It's been so long. I miss you. You miss me? You threw me out of your house on my 18th birthday and haven't spoken to me in 5 years except for group texts about the twins. What exactly do you miss? Jenny, let's not do this here. Can we go get coffee? Please? Against my better judgment, I agreed. We went to a coffee shop around the corner. She ordered an expensive latte. I got black coffee. We sat down, and she started talking. She talked about the twins, how big they were getting, how smart they were, how expensive everything was. She talked about Richard's job, how he'd been passed over for a promotion. She talked about their house, how they needed repairs they couldn't quite afford. She talked for 20 minutes without once asking me a single question about my life. Finally, I interrupted. Mom, why are you here? She looked hurt by my directness. I told you. I wanted to see you. You're my daughter. I stopped being your daughter when you kicked me out to make room for your real family. That's not fair, Jenny. We needed that space. You were 18. You needed to learn to be independent. I was still in high school. You were about to graduate. And look how well you turned out. See? It was good for you. You learned to stand on your own 2 feet. You should be thanking me. The audacity was breathtaking. She wanted me to thank her for abandoning me. Is there something specific you need, Mom? Or did you just come here to rewrite history and make yourself feel better about what you did? She had the decency to look uncomfortable. Actually, there is something. The twins are starting to think about college. They're only 7, but we need to start planning now. And money is tight. Richard and I were thinking, you're doing so well now, and we really helped you get where you are by teaching you independence, so maybe you could help us start college funds for your brothers? I stared at her in complete disbelief. You want me to pay for their college? Not pay for it entirely. Just help. Maybe contribute to their funds. You make good money now. You don't have kids of your own. You could afford it. You told me you couldn't help me with college because you needed to save for their college. And now you want me to pay for the college you were supposedly saving for? Our financial situation changed. Things got harder than we expected. And your family. Family helps each other. Family helps each other? My voice was getting loud enough that other people in the coffee shop were looking. I didn't care. Where was that philosophy when I was 18 and homeless? Where was that philosophy when I was working 40 hours a week while going to college full-time because you wouldn't help me? Where was that philosophy when I invited you to my graduation and you didn't even respond? I had the twins to take care of. You always have the twins to take care of. That's been your excuse for everything for 7 years. They're your priority. They're your real family. Fine. But don't come to me now asking me to fund their future when you couldn't be bothered to be part of mine. My mother's eyes filled with tears. Crocodile tears, I was sure. How can you be so cruel? They're your brothers. Don't you care about them? I've never even met them. You made sure of that. You erased me from your life the moment they were born. So no, I don't feel an obligation to pay for their college. I stood up to leave. My mother grabbed my wrist. Jenny, please. We really need help. We're struggling. I know I wasn't perfect, but I did my best. Can't you find it in your heart to help your family? I pulled my wrist free. You're not my family. You're a woman who raised me for 18 years and then threw me away when I became inconvenient. Lose my number. I walked out of that coffee shop and immediately blocked her on everything. Phone, social media, email. I was done. But she wasn't done with me. Over the next 2 months, she found new ways to reach me. She created new email addresses to send me messages. She had other family members call me on her behalf. She sent me letters to my condo, which was terrifying because I'd never told her my address. The messages became increasingly unhinged. She'd alternate between begging and attacking. Please, Jenny, your brothers deserve a future. Then, you're selfish and ungrateful. After everything we did for you. Then, I'm your mother. You owe me respect. I saved everything. Every email, every letter, every voicemail from relatives passing along her messages. I had a feeling I might need evidence. The breaking point came 3 months after that coffee shop meeting. I'd bought myself a Rolls-Royce. Not because I needed one. Not to show off. But because I'd worked my entire adult life, I'd earned the money, and I wanted something that represented how far I'd come from that scared 18-year-old sleeping in her grandparents' spare room. I drove to my uncle's house to drop off some documents he'd asked for, legal papers from when he'd co-signed my loans, which were now fully paid off. He lived next door to my mother. I knew that, but I figured I'd be in and out quickly. I'd just hand him the papers and leave. But my mother was in her front yard with the twins when I pulled up. I watched her face go from confused to shocked to something that looked almost hungry when she saw me get out of that Rolls-Royce. She started walking toward me, the twins trailing behind her, before I'd even made it to my uncle's front door. Jenny? Is that your car? I ignored her and knocked on my uncle's door. Jenny, please, I just want to talk. I've been trying to reach you. My uncle opened the door, saw the situation, and looked apologetic. I'm sorry, I should have warned you she'd be outside. It's fine. Here are the documents. I have to go. But my mother had reached the property line between the yards. A Rolls-Royce? You can afford a Rolls-Royce but you can't help your own brothers go to college? Do you know how selfish that is? I turned to face her. The twins were staring at me, these little strangers who were technically my brothers but might as well have been random children on the street. Don't talk to me about selfish. You kicked your daughter out the day she became a legal adult so you could give her room to children you cared about more. You didn't help her with college. You didn't even come to her graduation. You had zero contact with her for 5 years. And now you show up demanding money? That's the definition of selfish. I made mistakes, but I'm trying to make things right. No, you're trying to make things easy. For yourself. You don't care about making things right with me. You care about getting money from me. There's a difference. One of the twins, the little boy, tugged on my mother's shirt. Mommy, who is that? My mother looked uncomfortable. That's Jenny. She's your sister. I didn't know I had a sister, he said, looking at me with curiosity. You don't, I said, looking at my mother instead of him. Not really. Because your mother decided I wasn't part of the family a long time ago. I got back in my car. My mother ran up to the window, actually pounding on it. Jenny! Jenny, please. We need to talk about this. You can't just. I rolled down the window 1 inch. If you contact me again, I'm filing a restraining order. Stay away from me. I drove away with her standing in the street, yelling something I couldn't hear over the engine. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. 2 weeks later, she showed up at my workplace again. This time she made it past the lobby by claiming she had a meeting with me. She cornered me in the hallway outside my office, looking frantic and desperate. You can't ignore me forever, Jenny. I'm your mother. You need to leave. Now. Or I'm calling security. Just listen to me for 5 minutes. Please. The twins deserve a future. You have so much money. You could change their lives. Don't they deserve the same opportunities you had? I had 0 opportunities from you. Everything I have, I built myself. While you were choosing them over me. I'm sorry, she screamed, loud enough that people were coming out of offices to see what was happening. I'm sorry I kicked you out. I'm sorry I didn't help with college. I'm sorry I wasn't there. I was wrong. Is that what you want to hear? I want you to leave. Not until you agree to help your brothers. She actually grabbed my arm, her fingers digging in hard enough to hurt. I pulled away and she stumbled, falling against the wall. Security was already coming down the hall, alerted by my coworkers. My mother started crying, real tears this time. Please, Jenny. Please. I'm begging you. They're just little boys. They didn't do anything wrong. Don't punish them for my mistakes. Security reached us. Ma'am, you need to leave the building. I'm her mother. She's my daughter. She won't help her own family. They escorted her out while she yelled about ungrateful children and family obligations. The whole scene was humiliating and heartbreaking and infuriating all at once. I filed for a restraining order that afternoon. My lawyer said I had more than enough evidence, the emails, the workplace harassment, the physical confrontation. The restraining order was granted within a week. My mother violated it 3 days later by coming to my condo. I called the police. She was arrested. Spent a night in jail. I didn't bail her out. She was charged with violating the restraining order and harassment. She ended up pleading guilty to a lesser charge, getting probation and mandatory counseling. My family fractured over it. Some relatives said I'd gone too far, that she was just a desperate mother trying to help her kids. Others said she'd gotten exactly what she deserved. My grandparents and uncle stood firmly on my side, which was all that mattered to me. I haven't seen or spoken to my mother in 3 years now. The restraining order expired, but she hasn't tried to contact me again. I heard through my uncle that she and Richard divorced. That the financial problems got worse. That the twins are being raised primarily by Richard now while my mother works 2 jobs to pay legal fees and back child support. Part of me feels bad for her. A small part. The part that remembers being a kid and having a mother who loved me, before the twins, before Richard, before I became disposable. But mostly I feel relieved. Relieved that she's out of my life. Relieved that I don't have to defend my boundaries anymore. Relieved that I can build my life without someone constantly trying to take from me. I'm 29 now. I'm successful. I'm happy. I have people in my life who value me for who I am, not what I can give them. I have a career I'm proud of. I have financial security I built myself. And I have the knowledge that I survived being abandoned by the one person who was supposed to love me unconditionally. I survived, and I thrived, and I did it without her. My mother kicked me out on my 18th birthday, told me I was on my own, and made it clear I wasn't part of her real family. She got exactly what she wanted. I'm on my own. I built my own family. And she's not part of it. The day she saw me pull up in that Rolls-Royce, her jaw dropped because she finally understood what she'd thrown away. Not a struggling teenager who needed her. A successful woman who'd become extraordinary despite her, not because of her. She thought she could come back into my life and claim credit for my success, claim some ownership over what I'd built. She thought she could guilt me into funding her other children's futures because I was family. But family isn't about biology. It's about showing up. It's about support. It's about love that doesn't come with conditions or expiration dates. My mother failed at being family the moment she told me her new children were her real family. So when she came asking for help, I gave her the same energy she'd given me, nothing. I'm Jenny. My mother kicked me out at 18 and then demanded I fund her other children's college when she discovered I was successful. I said no. I set boundaries. I protected my peace. And I don't regret it for a single second. Some people think I'm cruel. That I should have helped the twins despite everything my mother did. But those people don't understand that giving her money wouldn't have helped the twins. It would have enabled her. It would have taught her that she could treat people terribly and still get what she wanted if she just asked aggressively enough. The twins deserve a good future. But that's their parents' responsibility, not mine. I didn't choose to have them. I didn't raise them. I don't even know them. And the fact that I'm doing well doesn't mean I owe them anything. I owed myself healing. I owed myself peace. I owed myself the freedom to build a life without someone who'd thrown me away trying to crawl back and take from me. And that's exactly what I gave myself. We've reached the end of this story, and I'm willing to bet that most of you who made it this far still haven't subscribed or left a comment. You just spent half an hour listening to me describe being abandoned by my mother at 18 and then harassed for money when she discovered I was successful, but you can't spend 5 seconds engaging with the content. You'll just take this story and move on like it cost you nothing. That's the same energy my mother had, taking without giving, consuming without contributing. So here's your chance to be different. Subscribe to this channel right now. Leave a comment telling me if you've experienced family entitlement or been asked to give money to people who didn't support you. Share this with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to set boundaries with toxic family. Or just close the video and prove you're exactly the type of person who takes without giving back. At least be honest with yourself about which one you are. Now I want to hear from you. Have you been abandoned by a parent? Have you had family members demand money after years of no contact? Have you set boundaries that people called cruel? Tell me your story in the comments because sharing these experiences helps others realize they're not alone. And subscribe to this channel because I'll continue sharing stories about surviving family abandonment, setting boundaries with entitled relatives, and learning that success built in spite of someone is sometimes sweeter than success built with their support. These stories are for everyone who's been thrown away by family and built themselves back up. For everyone who's been told they're cruel for protecting their peace. For everyone who's learned that the family you choose is more important than the family you're born into. You don't owe anyone access to your success just because you share DNA. You don't owe anyone money just because they raised you, that was their legal obligation, not a debt you need to repay. And you absolutely have the right to walk away from people who only want you in their life when you're useful to them. This is Jenny, reminding you that the best revenge isn't success itself, it's success combined with strong boundaries that prevent people who hurt you from benefiting from what you built. Stay strong. Protect your peace. And never feel guilty for refusing to fund the future of people who didn't believe in yours.